Greetings ladies and gentlefish, and welcome to another, video with a couple of subscriber replays in. We're going to be having a look at a couple of higher tier medium tanks, and tanks with some similarities, but also machines that are not in the regular tech trees and that you don't see that often, and that I don't own, so I can't exactly show you them myself. First up, we've got Somegrass here driving his Object 907. This is, and he's got 2 marks on his object, I feel I should point out, so he's certainly no slouch in it. This is another Tier 10 Soviet medium tank, but this one is a Clan Wars reward mission. And as a result, you don't see that many of them. I mean, they're not super rare, and the same will be true of the next tank. Not super rare, but not massively common either. Now, visually, it has a lot of similarities with the other Tier 10 Soviet medium tanks. You know, the Object 140, the T-55A, the Object 430, though there are some differences, but I'm not going to get into massive details about all the ins and outs of this machine because I don't own one, and so I would not be the best person to tell you about them anyway. But it is another Soviet Tier 10 medium tank with pretty much the same 100mm gun. So 320 alpha damage, damn good rate of fire to get very nice DPM out of it. 260 something penetration. Yeah, there we go. And first shot, of course, bounces on the side of that E50, or it might have damaged like his suspension or something. Anyway, Somegrass is here on the Siegfried line, and this is a standard game on the Siegfried line, and he has gone into a pretty aggressive location in this little alcove right here. It's not a bad location. Personally, if I'm spawning on the other side of the map, you'll often find me using, or you'll often have seen me using the opposite position, just there. But as it is, Somegrass is able, hopefully, to get shots on the enemy tanks here, but he's really fighting with the gun depression and the height of this tank. The Soviet Tier 10 mediums are quite short, quite low profile, which has its advantages, but it also means sometimes it can be quite awkward to point your gun at things. And they typically have around 5 degrees of gun depression. I assume the Object 907 here is the same. So honestly, not the best start here. I mean, Somegrass has put in, what, 1 shot into a T-57 Heavy, now 1 into the FV, 1 into an E50, but he's taken a couple of shots himself. So, yeah, we shall see how this goes. And he wasn't able to shoot that Jagdpanzer E100 in the side, whereas, say for example, that Patton, had he been in the same position, I'm pretty sure he would have been able to nail the guy in the side. However, he wouldn't have quite such a low profile, so it would be more difficult to hide good chunks of your tank. And this T-57 Heavy presumably is reloading because Somegrass is just coming through, and that's around about 900 damage on this guy, pretty much with impunity. Jagdpanzer hits the guy, tracks the guy, set him on fire. It's generally a good idea to go for those sort of tracking shots if you can. T-57 Heavy just bounces on Somegrass here, and Somegrass is able to sneak in a shot to finish off that Jaegeru. T-57 Heavy is now a 1-shot. Oh, but Somegrass rolls low to leave him on 1 health. Typical, isn't it? But there we go. He is now dead. Scoreline is 4-7 though. It's not as if the friendly team are exactly having a fantastic time of things. 1 into the rear of that E50. And if that guy is just going to stay in a position where Somegrass can nail him, then cool. That one sounds like it tracked the guy. Indeed it did. Another one into him. There's a bounce from the E50, and 1 more shot should finish this guy off. There we go. And that becomes kill number 3. Somegrass here, trying to see who else he could shoot, and in that sort of position, yes, the Object 907 in common with the other Soviet medium tanks can be rather awkward, but the flip side is that a lot of the other Tier 10 medium tanks would have taken more damage in that same position. So, swings and roundabouts. Then again, that have had more alpha damage. The Soviet medium tanks do get the lowest alpha damage of any of the Tier 10 medium tanks, so they'd have had to expose themselves less in order to get those shots in. Swings and roundabouts, I guess. Swings and roundabouts. So the friendly team have actually evened this up a bit. Scoreline is now 10-10. and some grass is gradually running out of regular ammunition. Tier 10 medium tank, all of them apart from the 121, fire APCR as standard ammo. So it's not as if some grass is spamming premium ammunition here. He is not. The premium ammo for the Object 907, in common with a lot of the Tier 10 medium tanks, is heat with 330 penetration, because why not? Why wouldn't you want to have that level of pen? T-57 Heavy just constantly looking towards Sumgrass here, and Sumgrass has used his repair kit. He really does not want to get nailed by that T-57 Heavy. If that Heavy tracked him with the first shot, then Sumgrass would just be sitting there like a duck, and that T-57 could kill him in one magazine. In fact, without 2 high damage rolls, he could kill him with 3 shots and 1 left to spare. Now, one interesting feature here, Sumgrass is not alone in doing this, but Sumgrass is actually running a food consumable in his Object 907, and as is often the case with these Tier 10 Soviet medium tanks, the player in question doesn't want to replace the fire extinguisher with them because these things do burn, and I believe, though I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the Object 907 has frontal fuel tanks. So he's actually replaced the med pack here. So presumably you don't get crew knocked out in this tank all that much. And here you can see that Sumgrass is actually able to reverse side scrape pretty effectively in this tank. A number of the Soviet medium tanks have okay side armour, most of them covered by tracks, so reverse side scraping is not actually a terrible idea. Should Sumgrass have loaded a HE round here? Well, maybe. Maybe not. If he had loaded a HE round, that might have killed the Gorilla 15 in just that one shot, but, you know, you never know, to be fair. In fact, did he actually load a HE round there anyway? Don't think so. I'm afraid the way I'm recording this, I can't quite see the ammunition loadout properly, unfortunately, for patch 9.16 replays, which is a little bit of a shame, but there we go. Long story short, though, that just leaves the enemy artillery. There's the T-92, and unfortunately Sumgrass misses his shot. TVP picks him up, and that is the game. Very nicely done from Sumgrass there. Let's go and have a look at some of the post-game stats. Here we go then. That was enough for Ace Tanker for Sumgrass, Bruiser, Duelist, Fire for Effect, and a high caliber medal for lots and lots of tasty damages. 6,529 damage done, 3 kills, 1,267 base experience. The friendly TVP and the E100 both also had pretty respectable games. Commiserations to the enemy Griller, 4,000 odd damage. Unfortunately he still lost. I mean, at tier 10 that's not a mega carry, but that's a very respectable amount of damage to be putting in. 33 shots fired, 26 hits, 22 penetrations for that damage count. 7 hits received, 2 penned, 5 did not, for over 1,100 damage blocked by Sumgrass's armour. 1,210 assistance damage into the bargain, which is always nice. 7 enemy vehicles damaged, 3 of them destroyed, and 2 of them spotted. 2.1 kilometers travelled. Fairly significant ammunition and consumable resupply costs. Sumgrass was using a food consumable there. So he did make a profit, but only with a premium account. With a regular account that would actually have been a loss. But you can do that. It's not as if Sumgrass was spamming premium ammo everywhere. In fact, I don't think he fired a single shot of it. But you can certainly run food consumables on your high tier tanks, and it doesn't matter too much if you lose credits here or there, as long as you can support playing those games with some lower tier matches or with some premium machines. That wasn't a particularly long game, just a shade under 7 minutes. And once you throw everything in, Sumgrass actually made quite a nice amount of experience into the bargain. So, that was a look at the Object 907 Tier 10 Soviet medium tank. That's only available as a Clan Wars reward. Now we're going to jump into another machine that, again, not super rare, but you don't see that often. Here we go then with our second game, and we are joining Jellyboy49 once again. He is in a 3-man platoon, and he is driving the T-55A, which is the German Tier 9 medium tank, which some people may look at and think, what? That looks like a T-54. Well, it essentially is a T-54 with some differences, but this is here representing the East German army after the Second World War, of course. Germany and its capital Berlin got essentially split down into 2 halves. Western Germany and Western Berlin were controlled, if you will, by the Western Allies, predominantly the Americans and the British, and Eastern Germany and Eastern Berlin were under the control of the Soviets. And as a result, West Germany tended to use Allied or Western style equipment, and East Germany tended to use Soviet equipment. And so you have the T-55 here as a Tier 9 German medium tank. Now this is again not in the regular tech tree. This is the third personal mission reward tank. I do not have this machine yet. I still need to complete mission number 15 for the... which one's for? The... for artillery and for light tanks. Alternatively, I need to do it with honours for some of the machines in question, some of those tank types. But so far, the only guys I've done it with honours with have been the mediums and the tank destroyers. But anyway, I digress. He's here on the Paris map, which is, I believe, the newest map to be introduced to the game. Not a map I'm a massive fan of, but yeah, there we go. And what the hell did that Pershing just do? Well, I can see what he did, but why? I assume he wasn't trying that on purpose, because that would be more than a little bit dumb. And one of Jelly's platoon mates gets killed by a teammate. Hurrah! Gotta love teammates, haven't you? Now this is a slightly awkward situation. Type 4 Heavy is a bit of a bugger of a tank to deal with, unless you're going to load your skill rounds. So this tank, if you compare it to a regular T-54, essentially you get slightly better gun performance in exchange for slightly thinner hull armor. So rather than having 120mm of frontal armor, this thing only has 100mm, I believe, but you do have what is essentially the same gun but with better performance on that gun. It does mean your penetration is a bit on the lacking side for a Tier 9 medium tank, just a shade over 200mm, 201 I believe, 320 alpha damage. But if you want to double tap 2 and load premium rounds, you get 330mm of penetration with that heat, and that will butter a Type 4 Heavy. Although of course, bear in mind, I think, was it patch 9.17? This is patch 9.16 replay, I think it was patch 9.17. The higher tier Japanese heavy tanks received a little bit of loving and got given a dirty great big howitzer. So there we go. And yeah, Jelly is just going straight through the front of this Type 4 Heavy with heat ammunition. Can't really blame him too much. He's got it, so use it. And this tank, of course, being effectively a modified T-54, does suffer from Tier 9 medium Soviet medium tank syndrome, in that the gun is really expensive to use. Your regular ammunition lacks penetration, and so there is that tendency to use some premium ammunition, which is expensive, and even your regular ammunition is over 1,000 credits for 320 alpha damage and dodgy penetration. So yeah, this is a bit of a credit hog. Now, whilst this tank may only have 100mm of armor compared with 120 on the T-54, Chiri is still going to really struggle to go through the front of it. And as you can see there, just doesn't, and he becomes kill number 2 for Jelly here. Scoreline is 6-9, so the friendly team isn't having a fantastic game here, but Jelly is going to go around the sides and start giving this Tiger a little bit of the good old heave-ho. Now, 200mm of penetration as you get on the Tiger, that would struggle to go through the front of the T-54, but the T-55, well, that's a slightly different story. And the Tiger 1 does get a slightly better reload than Jelly here, or significantly better reload, even though he has lower alpha damage. So it's against targets like the Tiger where that reduced armor really does actually come into things and actually make a difference. Speaking of, however, targets against whom it wouldn't make a difference, there is a T-95. Doesn't matter whether you've got 100mm or 120mm of frontal armor. If the side of a T-95 is to you, you get to feast. If the front is to you, you'd better be prepared to take a big slap in the face. Now, unfortunately, this poor guy has been outflanked, and Jelly has gone for the tracking shots there just to try and make sure this guy can't turn around. And even if this guy could turn around, it's entirely possible the T-29 will be putting shots into his side then. That would be preferable to a T-55, just by virtue of it having the same alpha damage but a worse reload. But neither situation are really optimal for that poor tank destroyer driver. So, having a look at how this game is going, we've still got, well, we're now even. In fact, actually, the Allies have slightly pulled ahead at this point. Unfortunately, both of Jelly's platoon mates have succumbed and fallen to the wrath of the enemy team. We've got a T-34A, which is a pretty trashy tank, but, you know, gotta kill it, I guess. A Conway who just got nailed by the Object 704. And this T-34A is in a whole world of trouble, and he is done. And the GW Panther artillery piece, who is just back there. She'd only take one shot to kill this guy. He's only got 9 health at the end of the day. And I must admit, I think I'd be loading a high explosive round at this point. But, you know, it's probably not going to make a grand deal of difference. Can Jelly pick up a Top Gun? He's on 5 kills. One more for the Top Gun, and there we go. Very nice game there on Paris. So, once again, let's go and have a look at those results. That game ended up then being enough for Ace Tanker Bruiser. Fire for effect, of course, that Top Gun for 6 kills and the High Caliber Award for Jelly there in his T-55A. 6,296 damage done, 6 kills, 1,360 experience. That's base experience, of course. And his platoon mate Chamberlain from Cirque in his E50 actually came second. 31 shots fired, 25 hits, 24 pens for that damage count. 7 hits received, 3 penned, 4 didn't. Yeah, 500 damage blocked by his armour. 3 enemy vehicles spotted, 8 damaged, 6 destroyed, and 2.5 kilometres travelled. If you have a look at the profitability of the machine, however, bearing in mind Jelly did fire a few heat rounds to deal with that Type 4 heavy. Even with a premium account, he made a 4,000 credit loss. Without that, it would have been a 32,000 credit loss. This is a mission reward tank. That means that you get to use your regular German medium tank crews in it. However, you do not get an enhanced credit making potential. So this can be quite an expensive tank to run, much like the T-54 or the Object 432. But nonetheless, a very nice game there from Jelly. So, I hope you guys enjoyed that pair of games, looking at medium tanks in the higher tiers that aren't in the regular tech tree, and so are a little bit less common, but you do see around here and then. And the T-55A certainly is one that everyone can get their hands on with enough time and effort. And if you're in a clan, the Object 907 may be something that you either have or want to set your sights on. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, by all means feel free to catch some of my other videos and or subscribe to my channel, and I wish you very happy hunting on that battlefield. Ciao ciao.